It's like, hey, selecting all the arcade games. Tic-Shack-Toe. Shaquille O'Neal actually sponsored this one. You play tic-tac-toe by throwing a basketball into the.
Oh, wow.
But like, this is a game we might actually look at doing. I actually grabbed those because I thought, like, yeah, like I did a mountain of paperwork on my desk, right? Like this is what it is when you're buried in paperwork building a park. It's yeah. All right, so we deter from our regular programming, talking about backyard trampolines and all the wild, crazy builds that we're doing to do another wild and crazy build.
This time in a different setting.
So if you've ever wondered what it takes to build a 40,000 square foot trampoline park and more, because this isn't just trampolines, we're about to do it and we're about to show you.
Behind us, that was 20,000. That was a year and a half ago, and that was a lot of fun. And this is just going to be twice the size, twice the fun, and it's going to be a really epic journey. So we're actually going to document it this time. So from
we
day
were held
two,
back.
from day two,
We were held back because this one was our old park that we demobilized in Vancouver. So this we were kind of limited.
yes and no. We wanted to kind of have our phoenix rise from the ashes of our old park and reutilize as much of the structure as we could. We designed a modular park. We built modular equipment so we could do that, but everything got a facelift. All the padding was a new design, new style, new manufacturer, and so
this one's going to be interesting though. This is all of the attractions we've been doing for the last 10 years, everything dialed in. It's kind of what we do every single time we build a park, but kind of ante up every single time. This one will have the world's longest trampoline. That's going to be exciting. We've got some pretty epic, we're doing the arcade in this one from scratch. So we're going to have some pretty epic arcade machines and massive claws, and wouldn't spill the beans fully, but I guess there's some interesting stuff coming down the pipes. But this is the overwhelming part that people take for granted. You're not boots on the ground doing stuff. It's all this stuff in the office, all this stuff in advance. You've got a massive CAD model with everything detailed out in it. Like our CAD team's even been helping me with the layout. So where the arcade machines are going, where stanchions are going, how many stanchions we need to order for our people queues, how many tills are, you and I were messaging before about that earlier today. How many self check-in kiosks do we need? And it's all in the model.
yeah, actually, this is this is the most prepared we've ever been going to a build. I think we usually kind of wing it, for lack of a better word. But this is number 6 for us now. So
Of our stuff, of our in-house builds.
yes, we've built lots of parks for other people, but when we build our own park, we do everything. So, and this is well, this will be our 4th operating park. There's 2 that are, the 2 that are no longer with us, but it's growing pains. So this is pretty exciting. From AI, we talked about how we've used AI, leveraged AI to help us with it, and CAD and the whole team behind us, and over a decade of experience now. The first park we opened was November of 2013. So this is going to be a full 12 years later.
There's a lot of things you mentioned, the AI. There's a lot of things that are easier this time through too. Like say for my networking equipment that I'm trying to figure out, I did an export of all of our tech logs from our existing networks into AI, asked it to optimize and build out for this new facility. And I even included a drawing of where I was going to put all my security cameras. So it knew how many cameras I wanted, how many 360 cameras, how many close angle shots. Like we do a mugshot camera when people walk in the door, so you get a clean shot of their face. And the door controllers, we have door controllers where you fob in and the door unlocks for you, and it keeps track of who comes in the building when for all of our staff. AI was able to figure out all of this, the power requirements for all this, because it's all power over Ethernet, and what size switches we need and bottlenecks. And it's honestly wild what we can do with AI technology now. I know you guys have used it. We've used it on the trampoline side for building capacity and everything and figuring that out.
I use it for project management. Like this is going to be a huge build. This is like a 3,000 man hour project just on the equipment side of things, not to do with any of the TIs or anything else. And I had that all broken down, and it's for good thing, because now the project keeps getting delayed. But once we get access to the space, we can't be, because we've got a limited time of free rent, and we've got a hard opening date that we want to hit. So for me, it's like, well, what happens if someone's sick or the roads are bad and someone can't make it out, and you got to juggle and shift things, or something's delayed or something is wrong, and you have to prioritize the next thing over and still account for those hours. And even so, we thought we're not going to touch this project till the beginning of the new year. So I had originally planned for an October 1st. We bumped it 2 months, and then all of a sudden, nope, now we're going to get in December 1st. and we're gonna just pick a few things, cherry pick a few things we're gonna hit before Christmas. And it's like I can just pull it all out, and I've got a couple different staff to swap in and out, and it's amazing for how it can just manage that entire thing, and I can still have at the drop of a hat a complete picture and plan that I can work around. So.
And to speak to the cost you were talking about earlier, like the carrying cost on these buildings is easily $50,000 a month. In some cases down in the States, we've worked on some projects where it's over $100,000 a month.
Yep.
And these aren't hard numbers to surpass when you figure in rent and operating costs and insurance and utilities and even the lights in here. I think these are 200-watt LED high bay fixtures. So you get 4 or 5 of them going, that's like running a toaster. They run a lot of power just to keep the lights on in the warehouse. All this stuff adds up. So yeah, we hit boots on the ground. It's go time. So, and like even our installation, we're loosely $250,000 planned for installation. Like it's not a small expense to mobilize a full-size crew, put them on site for an extended period of time and build one of these mega parks.
I think it was 180. That was travel, that was hotel, meals, and then accounting for 3,000 man hours. So,
and we're lucky this park's close. Like it's 6 hours away from us.
Yeah.
So,
because shipping equipment can be a pretty major thing. We got the benefit of every single, we've broken our install out into 6 kind of sprints, like 10-day, 10-hour shifts. And every time we're going to be out there, we're going to be out there with the van, the enclosed trailer. So we're going to be taking a full load with us. We're still sending a lot of stuff directly there, but as things are being produced to the shop, we're going to be loading up and taking them out and installing on those strips. So,
and that quickly is going to become one of the problems. So the space is wildly different. If you looked at it now, and we'll include some B-roll shots here, it was a former PV Mart retail store. So for the Americans in the room, this is like a Tractor Supply. It's a retail store with gondola shelving everywhere, VCT or not VCT, well, VCT on the floor, so vinyl tile on the floor, ceiling tiles in the ceiling. If you walked into the building right now, and we can include some more pictures, like it's gutted. Like there's an excavator, 2 excavators in the building that have been ripping out dirt and everything, moving plumbing. And luckily that's not us. We're letting the landlord and the contractor take care of that. And we take possession afterwards to start putting the equipment in. But it's a wildly different space in there.
There's been some joint stuff. Like you were just up 2 days ago and you were putting all of the little markers for the electrical runs for like your lighting and camera plan. And so because they're going to do a lot of that base electrical for us, but it's like, you were on there on site and they're doing it to our spec and they're doing it as part of the landlord's improvements so that, again, when we get the space, we're not bringing another electrician in to do these things over again. We're trying to be as efficient as possible. And even we snuck our trusty painter in there, happens to be my dad. He's sprayed actually the ceilings of all of our parks to date. And he's even that very first one, that was a black ceiling back in 2013, but he sprayed that warehouse and we shifted to white after that, and he sprayed this place, and he's spraying that one right now. So,
and it's already looking amazing. Part of the ceiling was already painted white, and he was able to make everything else in the building look the same color. And this is a 20-year-old retail building. So, and yeah, like to this plan, like this is an example where we're not boots on the ground yet, but there's hours and hours of planning. Like this is just our lighting plan with our cameras and our power requirements in the ceiling. But if you give a contractor a ceiling plan, a reflected ceiling plan for a 40,000 square foot building, they don't know exactly where to put things. They can put it within reason, somewhat close. But if you want to be able to get on site, go up in a scissor lift and hook your camera up, you need to tell them exactly where that thing goes, exactly how much cable you want, everything. So yeah, I was just on site in Winnipeg earlier this week and doing exactly that, hanging flagging tape from the ceiling, writing the circuit number on it, writing the termination style, coil, 5 feet of extra cable, all of that detail. So when the electrician's on site, not only does he have blueprints, when he gets to his mark, he knows exactly where to leave the cable and how to finish it. So it's a lot of prep work so that we show up on site and in a month, maybe 2 months, a lot of this work is done and we're ready to open. That also brings up the other thing, like the logistics of a 40,000 square foot building and multiple dedicated semi-loads of equipment moving in. You got to match that flow. So for example, all these arcade machines that we're going through, this is 2, maybe even 3 dedicated semis, full 53-foot semis full of arcade machines. When we get that on site, if we just dumped it in the warehouse right at the start of the project, we'd be tripping over ourselves. Contractors couldn't put in flooring. You couldn't bring in your 20-foot long, 30-foot long chunks of steel for the frame system. All of this needs to be juggled and managed in a way that it actually flows, or you get a log jam.
Yeah,
So
there's actually in this particular space, there's only one overhead door, and it's right at the back corner of the building, with a in-place build-out around it, which we've now closed off. So I have to leave a chunk of my trampoline court open until the very end
so that I
because
can get my arcade machines into the front.
pretty much, yep. So
But even that one overhead door, like the plan is we actually back the semi in, so we'll get a flat deck semi for a flat deck for long lengths of steel. Back the semi right into the warehouse. That way you can pull from the side. You don't have to try and fit a 20-foot length of steel sideways through the overhead door that's only 14 feet wide. So there's those considerations that you got to take just to logistically make it happen. So all of these things, like we've been on site, I combined 4 or 5 times between the two of us, only once at the exact same time.
yep.
So just doing this prep work in advance. So we look forward to showing the progress on site as we're actually there on a regular basis. But for now, it's like, this is just the arcade machines. I got this stack of paper. You see my office, you barely find the desk kind of thing. It's all amount of paper. I know yours is more than CAD, but it's no less number of details that have to be figured out in advance. So
A lot of stuff's got to fit. Actually, one of the things, like there's 2 pinch points, and we need to know exactly site condition what they were. Now that demo's finally done and things are all out of the way. The first time I was through there with a laser measure, like it was still PV Mart's closing liquidation sale and stuff, and you're going through there and there's people everywhere and you're looking kind of awkward, like with your phone, trying to get this and laser things. But yeah, and from a store that's still full of stuff to being an empty warehouse, that was really cool to see too.
oh yeah.
The last time I was up there was just completely empty, and yeah, it's a big space. But that was before the demo, so it's opened up even more when you were there.
Yep. It's completely open now. Floor's cut open. There's a trench over 100
Mm-hmm.
feet long right through the middle of the building for the plumbing connections. All the building permits have been filed. We haven't even received word back on the building permit. Well, we should get that back today. But so how these work in these really fast projects is you do all your formal plans, your engineering and everything. You submit it to the city, but often you have to start working. Like if you're going to hit your time frames and there's the large carrying costs of these buildings, you have to start working ahead of time. The only thing is you can't close it in. So we'll saw cut the floor, we'll do all the discovery, we do a trade permit to tear down the ceiling, but then we find out what we're getting into, and that all goes into the formal building permit to make the work be closed in. So before you start closing things in, pouring concrete, building walls, or drywall along both sides of the walls, you just have to make sure you get your permit in. But there's some overlap there and some creativity you can do to do things correctly, but condense time frames.
I think we took some pictures of walls before we closed them in here. When we did this build,
This
was
one was quick. This one was in our hometown, and we were like 3 months from keys in hand, taking possession of the building to being open to the public.
it was 3 months, 2 weeks, but yeah, that was
It was
tight.
wild.
And we learned the logistics thing the hard way, because that was when I described what the chaos was that was back there. It was like those little puzzles you have as a kid where there's like one extra square and you have to move it and figure it out. That was this thing, because the arcades were everywhere. There was people like mechanical electricians, they were still going up and back forth the ceiling. So it's like, what can I set up today? What can't I set up today? What have to pull down because they forgot something or something had to change. Oh, it was a nightmare.
Well, we experienced this in Vancouver as well when we packed up a park during COVID. We took a full crew out to Vancouver, BC, and had to wind up a park, and that was another 40,000 square foot build, and we basically squished that thing into 7 shipping containers. But like as soon as the Ninja Truss was down, you had to make sure a container was landed so you get the Ninja Truss in, so you have more floor space to tear down the next attraction, organize it to get it in the next container, and it's quite the logistical flow. So you'll see that on site as we get on there more. But yeah, the pilot crew's out there now. So
Yeah, this will be fun. This won't be so much. It'll be chaos, but it'll be more productive chaos. This part was just making it work. We had to de-stuff all 7 of those containers, and when we loaded them, we actually had to weigh them because we were at the top end of the weight rating for every single of the containers.
there was a few containers that CN Rail would not have taken if they had more weight in them, or they might have actually split open when we tried to lift them with a crane. So that was an interesting experience. But I'm glad we don't have to go through that again. This is all brand new equipment for the most part that's going into this one, so it really simplifies things. But what you guys are going to see next, we're going to have a clean finished warehouse, nice and open, nice and empty, all painted white. The contractors are going to start putting up walls. We're going to start drywalling one side. Right away here, we're going to start blazing into something that's starting to look like the interior of a trampoline park.
Yeah, we'll be up December, we're gonna get some banners up, gonna pre-hang the netting, and hopefully have a good chunk of the whole trampoline court done before Christmas.
By Christmas, well, it's got to come together. Our time frames, like you were saying, were pushed. We have a installation crew, a whole crew from Crazy Ape is going to be down in the southern United States for a trade show sprint, pretty much the month of February. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like 6 weeks, February and like half of March.
unfortunately, their trade shows were locked in, and the schedule for Winnipeg got pushed back. So now they are overlapping. So makes things a little interesting, but it's not something we haven't done before. So fun times in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Never thought that was coming, but it's here.
We'll have to do we'll do a second debrief of right around Christmas time of how things shook out on this initial sprint.
That'd be a good recap on Christmas recap before things slow down. That's one thing we found out here. Everything shuts down over Christmas, despite your best intentions, despite all the promises of he's going to work here and she's going to work there. The site basically slows down and comes to a full stop for 2 weeks, no matter what, whether it's trade contractors or whether it's our Crazy Ape team, or it's hard to manage people over Christmas and get productivity done. So we're going to be doing a push before Christmas and then right after.
Let's our guys take a bit of a break too.
There's been one silver lining to this project pushing back as well. I'm going down to IAPA in Orlando with our main installer and with Scott, our sales guy from Crazy Ape. We're going to be looking at a lot of these arcade games in person because some brand new ones are coming out that we're looking at using. We've got some equipment that we're looking at using down there. Our equipment's being featured down there with the booth at Shock Trampoline Park, so that's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, one nice perk to the project moving back is I get to window shop a lot of this stuff we're looking at buying and see it in person before we pull the trigger and invest all that money and still not delay our opening. But there you go. There's our update for the start of a very big project, and it should be exciting. Stay tuned and you can see from start to finish how a 40,000 square foot indoor adventure park is built from scratch. We can even show some of the manufacturing right through to it getting installed in the facility.
Yeah, we'll kick off another weekly series. I think like on the vlog series and building a trampoline park in 12 weeks or whatever it's going to be. So
I'm wondering how many people we can get sewing the world's longest trampoline. We get maybe some radio announcers, maybe get the mayor in to sew a little bit of it. I think that one could be a fun one to build. We got to figure
I'm
out.
thinking only one person can sew it at a time, but like doesn't mean the same person has to do the whole thing.
If we figured out how heavy that bed is going to be,
It's going to be stinking heavy.
rid of the forklift at the end of the table to catch that thing.
Yeah, based on our 8x8 beds, it's like 25 of them. So 24.
It's going to be a heavy trampoline. So that'll be a video in itself coming up right away. Stay tuned.
I hadn't thought that thing's going to be like a couple 100 pounds. Wow.
It'll be fun. It's always a new challenge. So like, comment, subscribe, and follow along. Building 40,000 square foot adventure park.